The tower portion of this truck gives crews a bird's eye view of any potential fire. The upper foundation wall has actually separated from the lower foundation wall, bringing down ceiling tiles in its wake. A police officer just came up and told me that 64 eastbound is now back open. 3,200 structures were damaged in the earthquake. The FDNY writing on this steel beam means a firefighter's body was found near it. And Charlottesville police just getting a search warrant for the victim's apartment, and they're actively going through that apartment as we speak. This is what he's going to be met with. You can see cars tossed around like toys, unrecognizable buildings. $83.41. Hopefully that was to fill up a car, but who knows, that could have been just a small drop in the bucket. In some neighborhoods here in Port-au-Prince, it looks like the earthquake just happened. Well, Steve and Annie, just before 7 o'clock is when court let out right here behind me in downtown Charlottesville. Family and friends of those involved with this gang-related murder court case were coming out when shots rang out and sending police on the hunt for a shooter. Tense moments as Charlottesville police officers search for a potential gunman just feet from their own headquarters.
We heard what we believed was a gunshot. It was coming from the alleyway or the garage or on the downtown mall.
A number of officers tell NBC 29 that they heard the gunshot. This happened just as groups of people were filing out of the city's General District Courthouse. They were there for a preliminary hearing in the Joshua Magruder murder case, a murder that detectives believe was gang-related.
We were out here trying to, obviously keep the peace and keep anything from happening.
But when the gunfire erupted, police responded from every direction, swarming around the parking garage on East Market Street, systematically searching every corner for any evidence.
We swept each floor of the parking garage to make sure that what we heard was not someone hurt or something like that.
And in the end, police did not find anything. And at last check, there were no reports of anybody with gun-related injuries at any of the hospitals here in Charlottesville. Although I did, when I talked with just about every officer out here on the scene, they were all adamant that this was a gunshot that they heard, not something like a car backfiring. We are live tonight in downtown Charlottesville. I'm Henry Graff, NBC 29 HD News.
But in one way or another, 9/11 means something to all of us.
After a long and emotional journey to Ground Zero and back, Charlottesville now has its own piece of 9/11 history.
There's a positive energy in this piece of steel.
This one too, how to operate it. Okay, take this to the front. Okay, Bobby, pull him your way, buddy.
Following a simple ceremony, the 17-foot-long steel beam was put on display at the Ridge Street Fire Station Thursday for 2 hours. The steel is from the North World Trade Center tower, the same tower that Barb Pemberton's sister was in on that day.
It makes me remember her and all the other people. I think of all the other families who were affected by this.
Pemberton's sister Sue was on the 99th floor. She did not survive.
I miss my sister.
But out of all of the destruction, Pemberton, an Albemarle County school teacher, says the twisted piece of steel will help educate people about the events of September 11th.
I think this is a wonderful representation to bring back here to show people that we haven't forgotten, and we never will.
Charlottesville firefighters hope the beam will also give people a chance to reflect and remember the lives lost, just as they did earlier this week at Ground Zero.
After we made the trip, it became even more personal and more of an experience after listening to the survivors.
It's a lot. It's very heavy.
First Lady Michelle Obama and dozens of children dug right in, harvesting hundreds of pounds of fresh vegetables from a small garden on the south lawn at the White House.
Monticello and Thomas Jefferson were an inspiration for us from the very beginning.
White House pastry chef Bill Yassis and Chef Sam Cass are both spearheading Mrs. Obama's Eat Healthy initiative, one that got its start at Monticello.
It's really the soul of our garden here.
In early 2009, a chef from the White House came here to Monticello to tour Thomas Jefferson's gardens. But he got more than a history lesson. He was able to take back hundreds of seeds, including these Scarlet Runner beans, back with him to the White House.
It's been a nice relationship. It's great to see Jefferson's legacy in food and gardening carried on.
Peter Hatch is the director of Gardens and Grounds at the home of our third president.
They're starting to turn red.
He's responsible for this entire garden, 3 football fields in length. It's home to a colorful palette of vegetables, fruits, and herbs. In the early 1800s, Mr. Jefferson experimented with 170 types of fruits and 330 varieties of veggies, including unique lettuce, rare spinach, and plenty of peppers. And many of them were grown too at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Some of Jefferson's favorites include the Marseille fig, French artichokes, and purple calabash tomatoes.
So many of these plants were put in a special section of the White House kitchen garden reserved as a tribute to Thomas Jefferson.
Now with the harvest complete, some of the vegetables will go to a local food pantry, the others into the White House, serving the first family, vegetables that Thomas Jefferson grew 200 years ago.
He was sort of on the cutting edge of the things we very much cherish today in terms of local food.
Now Jefferson's heirloom seeds have a special section in the White House garden, a tribute to an innovative gardener.
They're amazed that we have this link with the past and a food past, a very important past of heirloom vegetables that taste so delicious, and that we're growing them here.